Okay, so you know, I am I am a person that exists in an area where I am surrounded by an artificial, controlled reality. In other words, all that is around me is not what it appears to be. A normal suburb that looks like a normal functioning busy suburb is not what it appears to be. It is a controlled human base in the sense that everyone in the vicinity and the immediate suburbs, so we're looking at a reasonable area, is part of the controlled environment. They use technology, as we well know, even though I am not into technology. But I realise that in order for the systematic vehicle patrol system, which comprises of buses, huge trucks, every car, every motorbike in large numbers in given areas, usually where a real person goes. This is how it works. Now, this is because it is a controlled area. They don't like you to go outside or vary your routine. This is another point too. See how the planes are going over now while I'm making the video, right over the roof. I could show it, and they're quite low too, only in the sense that the noise is loud to the ear, but this is not even that important to me, but I'm just making this point because these same planes that are going over the roof now did not go over the roof 6 years ago, before the Matrix or this controlled reality that's around me, for instance, exposed itself deliberately, like it wasn't trying to pretend any different, but it was just hoping that I wouldn't piece it together what was the full reality, shall we say. That's really all I can say. So the planes that used to go over much further away now go directly over the roof. This was just where all the planes just changed their flight plan. And even a normal person would acknowledge this if they had lived here over the last 6-7 years. They would say, yes, the planes did. That's provided, of course, that you were talking to a real person who lived as a neighbour, for instance. But this is not the case, because all the people in this particular area, because it is a controlled base area, basically every person is in collusion with one another, and if you ask them, they would probably even deny it or not be interested or make a reason why the flight plan had changed, which seems legitimate. But that's just one small aspect of this controlled area. Or, if you want to put it more to the point, it is a matrix. This reality is a total matrix, a total control system. Everywhere you go, you are always watched, you are always patrolled, and that is the aim, is to try to control your actions, your whereabouts, what you do, and mostly how you think, because how you think will determine if you go down a particular street or if you particular activities. But because activities are unpleasant now, because You're aware that you are literally stalked by most people and every vehicle, including every plane, and every one of your senses is trying to be controlled by the people around. In other words, these android people that are all around, that inhabit the entire vicinity that is around you. As far as your senses can see, in other words, they will use technology to patrol you. They will use sound and noise to affect your mind and your mood, how you feel. And we've said before, everything is frequency, vibration, and energy. That simply means the human frequency and vibration, which is essentially just how I feel, whether I'm happy or sad, whether I'm happy or unhappy. You know, various emotions will be brought out at different times, but any negative, unhappy emotions will be a benefit to the matrix around me. Any positive, happy emotions will be a detriment to them. That's why they try to control real humans' frequency and vibration, because you only control your reality while you are happy. While you are unhappy, they control you or have more control over you, or you're more aware of it, you're more affected by it. I don't fully understand this, by the way, so I am talking over my head in a way. I know it happens because I see it, and it has been exposed to me. It hasn't been kept from me. It has been deliberately put in my face as a last-ditch, desperate effort to control me and my senses and my feelings, my frequency and vibration, because there are not that many real people in the area, but the few that are there are the only ones that have the potential for any happy feelings, because the android beings are all about unhappy feelings. In other words, because they are an android machine being, they do not experience pleasure or happy emotions. It's an offense to them because it goes against total control, you see. They're about total control. They're about keeping everything, like you could say the status quo, but their status quo is total control, because they are essentially possessed negative beings in a machine human body that for all practical purposes looks real, is real, functions as, because the technology is so advanced, probably some people might say it's the same as clone, something like that. But I'm not into any of that at all. I only talk about the psychological aspects because that's what affects me, and I'm ignorant of technology. I'm not scientific in any way, shall we say. I talk about these things because I see them, but I don't understand how they do it, because that is kept from me. And even my own self has been kept from me because they have access to my subconscious mind. They read all the human subconscious thoughts and then transfer them onto the computer, and is given to the android beings, which are all around, but also transferred directly to the android beings which populate 99% of the computer or the internet or any device, any screen. Okay? That's just the reality. If you don't think this is true, that is up to how you see things, but it is the reality. Just showing that the planes go over my roof, that's all. That way you don't think that I'm completely out of touch with reality, because the real reality is I am unfortunately completely in touch with reality. And I say unfortunately because when you become aware of this, when they expose it to you and come down on you and show you how controlled your environment really is, you know, it is not a good experience, no, but it is the reality. Like the beings themselves, where some of them will be what we call overt psychopaths, or covert psychopaths, if you want to put it that way. And that is like the personalities that have now come to light, you know, due to psychology and due to the average real person's experience in dealing with what we call the narcissists of this reality. They're all one and the same in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, and if I'm wrong, I'm not, it just simply means that I'm not distinguishing between the different personality types, because I think that it's like human beings. We all have variances in our personality. That's what makes us individual. Well, the android beings are the same. It depends on who they interact with. They assimilate the subconscious thoughts and the conscious interactions with the real life, and then it goes into what you'd call their artificial data intelligence. In other words, that's just like their artificial intelligence then incorporates that into their mind, the same way that a human being incorporates all their experiences and all their interactions into their mind. It's the same principle, except that it's artificial and not real, and it is non-spiritual, and it is anti-life. And its purpose is to take over real life, suppress them, and essentially utilize every bit of information they can from the human subconscious mind in order to take full control over the remaining human beings that are left. That's another plane going over. Won't come out. I'm not going to leave the door open because I don't like going out there as much as possible, because I'm aware of what is around me. And I'm going to lighten up now and just do a bit of music, because I'm going to go from the artificial matrix that's around me. Do you want to listen to this, what's going on out here now, as soon as I started? Oh, they turned it off. They were starting to beep their horns outside, but the minute I went to the door to prove it, they've turned it off. This is just to distract me, to make me look a fool. Because in reality, if I'm such a fool, why do they download all my thinking, my subconscious thoughts, and this is true of what they're doing to real life, onto the computer, onto this screen, and pretend that they are real life? And this is also true of the demigod entertainers too. This is a very old album, which I'm very familiar with from many, many, many years ago when it first came out, because it was played in the household where I was living. But this particular song was not the main song of the album. The main song was a hit called Maggie May, which is interesting. Every single bit of music is happening right now, even though this record is 30 years old, perhaps 40 years old now, I'm not sure how. This was the first record of this particular artist, the very first album. As you can see, very first album. and it's called Every Picture Tells a Story. Every human being tells a story, and the android beings take a picture of it, take it into their mind, and use every little pictures they get of the real life human beings in order to construct their false personas, in order to control, manipulate and influence the remaining real life, with the idea, of course, of the technology totally combining with the human being, so that they have longevity and they can continue to consume the human ideas, thoughts and emotions, the negative emotions, the unhappy feelings that they create by controlling the human mind through creating unpleasant environment and situations and life experiences that a human being doesn't really want to experience, because it makes them sad and unhappy, or or any negative emotions. It doesn't have to be where you're depressed. It could be to where you're terribly angry and furious and frustrated, and any negative or unhappy type of human emotion that causes you distress and brings you down at a psychological and emotional level, and therefore a frequency and vibration output level. So therefore you're creating indirectly a negative environment around you, and you are sustaining the dead dark reality of the android artificial beings that have been around in this reality since the beginning of the original natural earth. And now it is an artificial earth matrix. In this end time, we are looking at total technological takeover at a conscious level, as we know. This is at a conscious level now, because technology is used by human beings in their daily life, whereas it wasn't many, many years ago. But at any rate, I'm going to go from the matrix that's around me to a more personal matrix. In other words, when you play the music, that's where you are reminiscing on the personal past matrix. That's how it works. And all this is really happening now, even though it appears to be past. Like I say, these songs are relevant only to me now, even though I listened to them originally 35, 40 years ago. Some of them, depends on what artist or what demigod artist music idol I'm talking about, or what I'm saying. I'm not sure if I'm putting that correct, because it's very hard holding the mobile and with one hand and then holding the remote control with the other hand to try to get this song up. I can only play a few words of it because of copyright, even though this is from a real human subconscious mind, and the demigods which serve the artificial pseudo-god of this reality. I say pseudo because it is a real god of the reality. The technical god that controls this reality, with the plane going over right now in order to control and distract me, is a real being, in the sense that it's a real artificial mind. But it's not a real mind. It's a machine mind. Everything that is around is a machine mind. We know that the computer is a machine. We just don't know, or some people don't seem to realise, that everything that is on there is a machine. That's the difference. The reality has been totally taken over. We just are not aware of it. Or some real people are not aware of it. Those that take part of it, which is most of what is around, are aware of it, or if they're not, they're happy to go along with it. So in other words, different android beings may or may not have the full picture. Every picture tells a story, as that album says. But that doesn't matter. That's just because they may, due to serving the Matrix God, they may be allowed more access to the full picture, or they may not. And I'm not going to go into that because, to be frank about it, I do not know this, because I cannot read their minds. I can only gauge what I see and judge it that way. And I could be correct, or I may be a bit off on that. It probably doesn't matter, because it's like you can have children serving the Matrix God. You can have teenagers, you can have middle-aged, you can have old. In other words, so there's varying degrees of how much wisdom or knowledge they would have over that period of time. And it just depends on also their intelligent levels, I would think, or even their interest in it. That's another thing too. If you're serving, it's a bit like in this world now, we have many religions, and many people think that it's just okay, provided you don't need to have information, you just have to act in love. That seems to be the philosophy. And that's an interesting point. I would probably agree with that, but at the same time would think that if you don't have the full picture, you can still be fooled by those around, because love will not be enough. Not if you are not living in a real world or a random world. If you were living in a random world, love would be all and would be enough. In other words, to always be happy and in a higher frequency and vibration, or at least be leaning that way, that would be enough. But it is not enough in a controlled artificial matrix that has basically taken over the lives of real human beings. If you're not aware of what you are surrounded by, you will be seduced and pulled into it and think it's okay, even if you are operating in a higher vibration. And if you are, well, at least you're one step ahead of the game, because I certainly am finding it very hard to stay in any sort of even remotely higher vibration. In other words, any remotely good feeling. Even to stay neutral is very hard. You're hard pressed to even stay indifferent or neutral to what's going on, you know. It's very hard. I probably haven't got much recording space, so I better not go out and show those planes or waste any more video stuff. Okay, so this is how they want me to think.
If I listen long enough to you, I'll find a way to believe that it's all true. Knowing that you lied straight-faced while I cried, still I look to find a reason to believe someone like you.
Okay, so as a human being, those that are around play on the higher human emotion and vibrations. You're always looking for a reason to believe that what you see around you isn't true. That there is some hope that the reality isn't as I see it. But But you know, that's and this is also true if you interact with those that are of the darker side or have played in that, consciously playing in the dark matrix, you know, and that's just, and I don't know what.
Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give everything about myself.
But you know, the name of the game is dragging the human being's higher vibration into interacting with those that are of the dead dark matrix, even to seduce human beings into consciously playing in the dead dark matrix, just as from the beginning of the natural earth the human being was seduced, so-called, out of the Garden of Eden. We all know this. It's the same game that's been played by the same beings, except that they have multiplied just as the human being has multiplied, but the human being is now in limited numbers and they're not aware of it. They think that the population of the earth is what it appears to be, and it is that population, but it is not populated by real human beings. They're different species that are cohabiting, if you want to look at it that way, and always have been, except that the numbers are now reversed the other way round over a long period of time. And this is just, you know, what has happened, because it's the end game. And the human beings have been no, I may have this wrong. It is possible that all along that particular types of human beings were always in small numbers, but there may be others that are that still have the possibility of supporting the real life. In other words, they may be, I don't know how to explain this. I don't think I can explain it well. It's like if you, it's a bit like if you interact at an intimate level, shall we say, where you create life, where you have two different types of people bring a new life into the world. The new life will be half-half, 50-50, so it won't be a pure line. I don't think, and so they're the ones that the pure lines have to decide whether they go from into the dead dark matrix or whether they, you know, want to come out of the dead dark matrix into the light, I suppose you could say, but that's just putting it fancy, trying to impress. But it is like that, even though. But I feel foolish. I'm not even confident talking anymore because when you turn on the computer and you see other apparent human beings speaking your same words, you're like, what is the point? You actually feel futile saying anything because you know that it will be copied, directly copied by others. By the others, which are the artificial android technical beings that serve the artificial God entity of this reality. You know, they're like gods that have different levels, I suppose. But they all have the same artificial controlling mind. Because, you know, they do not have a spiritual higher vibrational way of thinking. They have a controlled lower vibrational way of thinking, or at least from the perspective of the reality. In other words, if everything is frequency and vibration and energy, frequency, vibration, you see, everything is frequency and vibration, they are like the dead dark spirits have a what you'd say low vibration, and they cannot even mingle or live or survive contentedly in a higher vibrational energy reality. In other words, it's like this. Put it simply: supposing I was high vibration, which I'm not, but I would like to be, but I'm not. But I'm not like right down the bottom, not yet, not until they manage to finally drag me into it, which is what they are trying to do. If I interact with a dead dark spirit or a dead dark human being who has low vibration, little or no vibration, okay, but I have a higher vibration than them, that is the same thing. That is an unpleasant experience for me, but it's also unpleasant for them, unless they can bring my vibration down to their low level. In other words, unless you join the dead dark spirits and interact and play with them in their dead dark matrix, which is essentially the controlled reality that's around you. Matrix is a dead dark controlled reality, a computer reality, a machine mind reality, an android reality that mimics being a real reality, mimics being real humans, so that they can control the real human beings, whether it be through seduction, through influence, through, or even direct control and what you'd call intimidation, which is like where you are aware, and they know you're aware, that every vehicle is a patrol control vehicle. You're aware that every person going in and out of every house is combined with the house next door and the house next door to that. And in other words, in a given area, almost without exception, every person is a relative or a disciple of the God entity that controls this reality. Some of them might be more conscious of it than others, but it doesn't matter, because their mentality is still to target and pinpoint the real life and then try to suppress them. They will be drawn to real life because they want the energy out of them. They're energy vampires, as the description that many people use, because they need that negative energy from a human being. In other words, they need to extract bad emotions from a human being in order for them to keep living. And I'm sweating here because the plane is going over, you see. I was going to show some things on this video, but I'm messing it up. I was going to show that the actual and a way that you can actually tell the androids at a physical level, and I'm going to be blunt here, is the head size. The head size of the androids, and this is what makes them very attractive, but also larger than life, which is why a lot of actors, it's a known fact. I was told this. I was actually told this when I was younger, that a lot of actors, for instance, have larger heads, and that's why they're impressive on the screen. And this is because their larger heads are an indication of where, at a physical level, in order for the dead dark spirits to inhabit a body, they cannot inhabit and are not comfortable inhabiting a real spiritual human body. So they have to have a duality body. And this is why they look very attractive or impressive, because they have the very larger heads, you know. But, you know, this was something that I was told because, you know, with movies, and there's their red, that's the red colour of the God entity, and if you can see it, you can see for yourself that that they like to put the red colour in the audience to control and show that they are controlling the real human beings, because the human beings are in the audience worshipping and adulating the demigod music artists, whoever they are. You will have your favourites. This is why we have such variety with the music artists, is because each person will have, each real human being will have particular tastes, likes and dislikes with music and with the personas that the demigods project. So they have to, that's why they cater on the internet, on the computer, and in the entertainment industry. Everyone will like a different demigod music idol. Everyone will like a different actor. They're all actors. They're all actors in the sense that they are not real human beings. Everything they present you is a contrivance, but you will not be aware of this. Everything that is presented is a contrivance. It will be designed to drag you in, and it will be part of things that you're attracted to, and you will not be aware of it from your subconscious mind. And love will indeed be a stranger. This is love as a stranger. Love will be a stranger. Love will be, in this reality, 9 out of 10 times you will encounter and interact only with the artificial ones. And you will even be indirectly serving, most of the time, the artificial being that interacted with the real life human beings from the beginning of the natural earth, if you want to put it in the fairy tale light, okay? And I should play the other song, but this one's back on again, so I'm just going to let these videos, I'm not picking the videos. And they want you, and they want you, and it's an obsession because their survival depends on it. So and also the love that comes to you will come like religion, will overtake you. You will experience it as something that appears to be good. But their version of love is not the same as a human's one. And love is a dangerous drug in the matrix. It's something that human beings like to receive and give, but in the matrix, in light of that, you're dealing mainly with this, with artificial demigods. But the demigods we're aware are, you know, different to us, but it's savage and it's cruel and it shines like destruction. It comes in like a flood and it seems like religions. And yeah, you'll be left like a zombie. In other words, they'll take control of your mind and you will not have your own mind. The demigods sing about it because they download the human thought, and they're showing you the god of their world, the colours on them, because they worship the red technical god entity. Okay, so unfortunately I'm playing the same videos. I'll see if I can. I'm using the music, but also the demigods on the computer, or even those that you wouldn't think are demigods, because we now, anyone can put something onto the computer, but I would say that anyone who makes a video and is eliciting a lot of attention, getting a lot of support, and is interacting and getting positive energy from a human being, whether it be admiration or whether you believe them, you give them your time and your attention and your energy. That is not the best energy that the androids want. But if you are totally like, it's the same with the God entity. If you worship the God entity, that is, and you comply and you follow its directions, its control matrix, that is service, that is servitude. You're serving, you're a servant, you're a disciple. You will be regarded as a relative, you see. So that is so when I'm watching a video, even if that one that is speaking on the video, like myself, is speaking what they think is the truth, and you will recognize it as the truth. If you give the wrong person your attention, you are being seduced by the disciples of the God entity. Don't think I'm explaining this well. But I mentioned the head size of the android beings. This is just a way, at a visual level, where you can tell the difference between the remaining real life and the demigods is the head size, because they will have a larger head, possibly a larger brain. That's because they're downloading so much human information and storing it, you know. So I could use so many examples of this. Also, it's very hard to show on the TV because it will be comparative. It will be in comparison only with a real person, which you know, you can't put your head next to the androids. But also the demigods are impressive. See, the larger head size does make them more visually interesting and more impressive. But it is a difference at a physical level because they're using a different body, because the dead dark spirits can't inhabit a natural human body. They have to inhabit, I've been told, and like I say, I can see it because, you know, I observe it. So, you know, it's one thing to get information, but you have to prove it to yourself. You know, I'm not doing this just for the fun of it. I have only looked into these things, you know, purely for self-serving survival for myself. And of course, it doesn't really, it makes you more cautious and aware of what's going on around you, so therefore you try not to interact and exchange negative energy with the dead dark spirits. But this will not always be possible, because also they will notice if you are not friendly to them, so you have to also be a pretender like them, so you will have to exchange. But as human beings are essentially very pick up on and take in every bit of information, just like the dead dark spirits do, you will unfortunately take in their negative energy. And that's, of course, is the idea. They want to covertly control your mind and bring you down to low negative energy, the same as themselves. So that way they then have control over you, and you also have no potential to change your reality for the better for yourself, because no human being wants to stay in dead dark energy all their life. But it's essentially how it seems to work. And I'm not explaining that well. I might sound clear, and I can hear that my voice is coming over loud and clear, but, you know, and that's important, because the demigods and those that are on the computer, they will seduce the real humans based on their demeanour and their persona, and even how they speak, how they come across. So what can you say? It's a game that is played against human beings that you cannot really win for yourself. You can only do best that you can to hang on to your own mind, but you cannot stop them retrieving all your thoughts and all your feelings and emotions and all your ideas from your mind. This is the unfortunate, sad truth of what is happening and, you know, is the case.
Like sorry. Forgive me. All that
So here I am using something that is close to home, but I'm also speaking on the differences at a physical level between I'm trying to show something. You know, the artificial beings, the demigods, the music demigods, or the demigods that perform on the world stage, shall we say, or the world stage matrix, they will have physical characteristics that we've become used to and think is normal male, female humans, but they're actually not. They are the same demeanour as the God entity, which is a duality God, and always has been. This was a created duality being from before the earth, or the original natural earth, if you want to look at it that way. But at any rate, let's go with the song. Oh, wait on, maybe I'll go with the song as opposed to my own rambling. But you see, that's where I'm being seduced, because I'm seduced by my own feelings. I am seduced by my own feelings on the computer, with the demigods, with personal interactions if I'm unlucky. And that's the name of the game. And how to explain it and how to live with it and how to deal with it, two different things. It's game over, as we've been saying for quite a while. And when I say we, you know, the demigods and those that are on the computer will also try to play this game to the hills at this end time, to where they will even want to combine with spiritual human beings in order to deceive, especially if the game is exposed. So it's tricky beyond belief. You only can really, if our mind, and my mind was not so clouded, I would see everything much clearer. It'd be like looking a demon straight in the eye when you look around, if you want to look at it that way. And I've heard those words used, so I'm going to use them, but it's artificial beings, but some people might put different names on them, but they're essentially, if you are a real spiritual human being or just a real person, these beings will be like demons for you, because possession has taken place in their bodies. The real human body is possessed by dead, dark spirits. This is when you adopt it's like adopting a different belief system. It's like saying, I find the God entity fascinating. I find the God entity intriguing. So you start to play with the dead dark spirits or the android artificial beings. You know, their bodies are possessed of those original artificial dead beings from a human standpoint only. Their version of life is to be anti-life, is to only experience the negative emotions. it's a reverse world. So it's a reverse of what the human condition would be. That's why we call it a reverse world. The Matrix is where they feel the opposite to what a real human does. Or, you know, like I've said before, our pleasure is their pain, and their pain our pain is their pleasure, and our pleasure is their pain. I don't think, I might have got that muddled up, but I'm going to show the visual characteristics just if I can. I showed you this. See, this is like a music artist, okay? And I'm playing this song because it's ringing a bell. See, so, you know, so I'm just going to show that if I can, but I'll show it with some different ones so that way it won't look as though I'm centering on, because this applies. This duality, physicality, applies to every demigod, every music artist, every actor, everyone who plays on the world stage. But I'm going to try to pick the more obvious examples, even though I have not, unfortunately, went through enough videos to pick out the best. And there also, these are videos that I have only looked at over the last few months, so basically that will limit too. But it doesn't matter. I think that the example I just showed was clear. The small body and the large head, okay? Bit like the Bratz dolls that used to be around, where they had the cute little delicate bodies, the cute little bodies with the big, ever so appealing heads, you know, full of the big eyes and the big face, but abnormally large in comparison to the body. With the android beings, this difference will not be anywhere near as marked as those cute dolls, no, but they are essentially cute android dolls. Some, that will depend on your own personal taste, of course, too, what you consider to be cute. But also you will see the duality. If you look close, it's like it can be anything, you see. It becomes what your fantasy is.
You can say, baby, baby, can I hold you tonight? Baby, if I told you the right words, at the right time, you'd be mine. Baby, can I hold you tonight? Baby, if I told you the right words.
Okay, so unfortunately it's hard for me to keep up with and this is where you enter into the fantasy, okay? I'm going to just go into my delusional fantasy world just for a second here. And this is the case, okay? But I will have to pull myself back to reality, otherwise I will be dragged into the dead dark matrix, consumed by the fantasy of the dead dark beings that serve the matrix technical dead dark god. So, but I'm making this video for myself, so the larger head, see? I will show another obvious example if I've got any space left, but okay. And I'm trying to, this is almost impossible for me to do, but I'm doing it for myself, so it doesn't matter if it's. Have to leave showing the physical body to another video.